What's going on, everybody? So today we're talking about the Barbarian and arguably one of the strongest builds in the entire beta, comparable to the Sorcerer build for sure, and that is the Bleed Thorns build here that I'm going to show you all. Now, for those of you that have played the Barb in the beta so far, you might notice a really slow going. It starts off really slow, and honestly, I thought the Barbarian was going to absolutely suck. But once I started to get to level 25 and started to actually build up my character, I actually stumbled upon one of the strongest combinations, which is the Bleed Thorns combo. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize how powerful the Barb can be potentially if you do a little work into it. So let's dive into how this works. All right, so let's dive into some of the skills here. You may notice that we're actually only using 5 skills, and that's because I find that some of the skills aren't even as good as just abusing part of the Thor's passive as much as possible. So we have Challenging Shout, we have Steel Grasp, we have Call of the Ancients, we have Flay and Rend. The idea here is that we do have that bleeding combo between Flay, Rend, and then the Thorns, and then we're going to be running these abilities, and you'll see why in just a moment. So we have Flay here, 3 points into Flay. You don't want to go over this because you're really not using a ton of Flay. To be honest, you're really just using the Thorns, but any basic that you're doing, you're going to want to apply Flay. So it does do a little bit of extra damage and is quite useful. We're also going to be running Enhanced Flay and Battle Flay. This is going to, whenever we're dealing direct damage with Flay, they take 10% increased bleeding damage, which is one of the biggest reasons why we run Flay, as well as potentially making them vulnerable. Then we have Rend here. It's going to do a cleave for some bleed damage. We're also running Enhanced Rend and Furious Rend so that we can spam out Rends a little bit faster and do some extensions of vulnerable. Then we have something interesting here. So we're actually running 2 forms of passives in the defensive skill category. Running 15% additional maximum life, and you might seem like, I don't want to go defensive, that's trash. I get you. So we're running Outburst, which gives 50 thorns and 17 thorns for every 21 bonus maximum life you have. Well, guess what? Because of our 15% additional maximum life, this is actually a lot of additional thorns. We also get Tough as Nails, which increases our thorns by 60%, and when they hit us, they're going to take additional 1% of our thorns as bleeding damage. So now, not only is our thorns going to be dealing a ton of damage, it's also going to basically apply bleeds as well. Then we're also going to be running Challenging Shouts. We can taunt nearby enemies and gain damage reduction. We're also going to gain 20% bonus maximum life when we shout, and 50% bonus thorns according to our maximum life. Insane. This is so fun. I cannot believe how much fun this is. I've just had so much fun with it. Then we're going to come down here, skip this tree entirely. No one needs this garbage movement abilities. We're going to be running Steel Grasp. We could yank people towards us. If they're melee, then we can start getting them to hit us. Then we're going to be running Call of the Ancients as our ultimate. You don't even necessarily need to bring these 2. You could literally just go all in and potentially just, go for some random abilities here and, max out Flay and stuff. But I like Steel Grasp. So you can pull some people in, and then Call of the Ancients as our big heavy hitter ultimate that will help us burst down some elite monsters. Such a powerful build. I absolutely love it. Now let's talk about the arsenal or expertise system here. We can see here with our weapons, we're going to want to prioritize using a 2-handed sword. Why? Because 12% of our direct damage that we deal is inflicted as bleeding damage. This is going to give us extra damage because of our flame procking, right? You could also run pretty much a lot of different options, right? A lot of these things are pretty good, but the option that's going to be the best is going to be 2-handed sword. Definitely going to want to run this. Make sure you go into here and make sure that this arsenal selection prioritize the slicing factor, because you can also do something like the dual wield here with Rend, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you're using the 2-handed sword for your Rend and for your Flay, which is going to be pretty important. The other abilities don't even have an option, but for your Flay and Rend, you're going to want the 2-handed sword. Now let's talk gear. Now in terms of gear, I don't even care about the legendaries generally. There is one specific legendary that gives you thorns when you're berserking, and that is pretty powerful. I'm not quite sure. I've not seen a drop for it quite yet, but there's a couple of legendaries that I want to mention if you get, but more importantly, stats that I want you to acquire. First off, we have the legendary that's going to give distant enemies have a chance to be stunned. This is important for archers and such things like that. So when you're just randomly getting hit, smack, your thorns are going to come back, smack them, and then actually chance to stun them, which is pretty crazy. Okay. Also, This ability, basic attacks gain attack speed. This is a pretty big one for just constantly getting out your flay, building up your fury, and then going into your rend. But more importantly than that, we want to make sure that we're getting our skill upgrades here on our abilities. So for example, extra ranks of rend is going to be super, super important. And then more importantly than that is our jewelry here. Now, unfortunately, I have not been able to find a really good jewelry piece, but the jewelry can actually have thorns and maximum life on them. So what this does is if you run your jewelry pieces with thorns and maximum life, you can increase your thorns to even more insane amounts, and you can just kill people by them just hitting you, which is so funny. And that is just so fun to use. Okay, so you have to look for items on your jewelry piece that gives you thorns and maximum life. It is just too fun. Then we have gems, and gems are far more important than your gear on this build because we're going to be running the emerald. Why? Gives you thorns, right? Emeralds on the armor pieces give you thorns, so you want to get as many emeralds as you possibly can, as many sockets that you possibly can, and run as many as you possibly can. I can't stress this enough, in every slot that you can. Okay, so even if you have a legendary item, honestly, I would replace it with a rare item and then with a socket, so you can go ahead and apply an emerald. If you have a legendary with a socket, even better, run that instead. But you really just want as many emeralds as you possibly can. It can potentially give you an additional 100 thorns unless you have the upgraded version, which could be even more thorns. You know, it's going to be so insane. Definitely something you're going to run. And for your armor and jewelry pieces, or your weapons rather, and your jewelry pieces, you're definitely going to want to run the amethyst here. So this is going to give you extra damage over time on your weapons, so you can get extra bleed damage from your thorns, from your rend, and all that good stuff. And then your jewelry pieces, I would recommend running diamonds or your crude skulls, which I have not yet to drop for the barbarian at least. These are going to give you extra resistance to all elements or extra just armor, which is going to be pretty impactful for survivability. So I want to mention our thorns count. We have 253 thorns. By the way, I forgot to mention, if you get some strength, you're also going to increase your damage dealt by thorns, which is pretty impactful too. So strength is going to be an important factor. And I want to show you what happens when we use our challenging shout. So let's go ahead and just look at our thorns here. We have 253. When we use our challenging shout, that goes up to 610. 610 thorns. That means you smack back when someone hits you for 600 damage. It's so crazy, guys. Absolutely love it. Let's go ahead and find a group of enemies and just show you how powerful this build is. Because it's not like you just sit around and let them hit you, although you can do that. You do some damage back. So again, we're going to be building our fury. If we just go ahead and let them hit us a little bit here, just go ahead and show you. Look, they're getting hit for 200 damage, 200 damage, and they just get killed by our thorns. But that's not only what we can do. We're going to go ahead and apply the bleeds. You can see the health bar just goes slowly down with the bleed amount. Very impactful. And if you're looking to deal with the melee characters, let's say you're in a big group and you want to pull everyone together, you can rip them towards you, rend them, and then just have them kill each other with the massive amounts. And you can see there, we actually stunned them because of that legendary item, which is very impactful. This isn't even including the challenging shout. Watch what happens. Let me find a fresh group of enemies here and then apply the challenging shout. Here we go. Watch what happens. They're going to hit us and they're just going to all die. 500 damage across the board. They're just absolutely demolishing each other, and they are just dying all over the place. It is so crazy how strong this build is, and I absolutely love it. Let's go ahead and find a boss just to show you all what this build can really do. We have Blast Wave Shrine. Perfect. Now we can go ahead and get through this dungeon even quicker. Again, we can just run through here. Does not matter. If you care about killing all the monsters and getting some XP, that's fine. I just want to get to the boss so I can show you all what happens when we do get to the boss. So I might skip ahead a little bit here, depending on how long it actually takes. Oh, we got some Curse Shrine nonsense going on. Nothing important there. Nothing important there. Oh, we do get a legendary. I'm going to pick that up. But we're going to go ahead and just pop back in just a moment. Once I go ahead and get to the boss, I can show you all what kind of damage we're actually able to do with our massive amount of thorns and our ultimate all together on an elite unit. All right, so here we are. We finally found the boss, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you all what this does to the boss. We're going to go ahead and proc our challenging shout, proc our ultimate, spam our rends here, and just show you how much damage we're able to do. Again, we want to take the damage from the boss because that is going to proc our thorns, right? So we do not want to retreat. So if you guys like being in the fray here, you're going to want to take as much damage as you humanly can. Again, you want to be somewhat safe, make sure you're not dying, but look at how fast we got through the boss. Spam your potion, spam your rends, spam your flays, and then you're done. That's how simple the boss fight was. Again, you just stand in place and tank the damage because you're very tanky with that maximum life and you want to get as many Thorns procs off as possible. And that's really, really insane. So once again, everyone, this build is arguably one of my favorites. It's super fun, super simple to play. You don't even have a full skill bar, honestly, of the full Barbarian, which is hilarious. But it still does massive, massive damage. And honestly, really, really impressed with it. You do need to make sure you're targeting specific stats like maximum life, like Thorns. You do need the emeralds, otherwise the build doesn't work nearly as well. So unlike the sorcerer or the rogue, which can kind of just do their thing once you get the skills, the barb does need to scale up their life. They do need to scale up their gems and all that stuff, but the reward is extremely powerful. So don't be shy away from the barb if you are struggling in the early game. Once you get to like level 10, level 20, when you start unlocking the ability to, you know, get those gems and such, you're going to skyrocket your potential and you're going to have a massive amount of fun. I promise you. So fun. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed the builds that are coming out, if you enjoy some Diablo 4 content like this video, sub to the channel, and I will see you all in a video soon.